I still remember the night when everything inside me broke. It was raining heavily outside, the wind howling as if trying to warn me, but I didn't listen. I sat by the window, staring at my phone, waiting for his message. Hours passed, and yet there was nothing. No call. No text. Just silence. My hands were cold as I scrolled through his social media, and that's when I saw it, a photo of him smiling, holding a cake, standing beside her. Her arms wrapped around his like she owned him. The caption read, "Happy birthday to the most special person in my life." I couldn't breathe. My heart felt like it had been ripped out and thrown on the floor. This was my husband. The man I had built my entire world around. The man I had given up everything for. And while I was lying in bed, sick and alone, he was out celebrating with his lover. How did we even get here? When I first met Daniel, he was the perfect gentleman. He made me believe in love, in promises, in forever. We were young and foolish, and I thought marrying him would be the start of a beautiful life. I supported him through his career struggles. Encouraged him when he felt like giving up, and even lent him my savings to start his business. I never complained, not even when I worked 2 jobs just to pay our bills, but once his company took off, everything changed. He became distant, cold, as if I was just a shadow lingering in the background of his life. At first, I thought it was stress. I excused his late nights, his lack of affection, his constant scrolling through his phone with a smirk on his face. I convinced myself that if I held on a little longer, the man I loved would come back. I was wrong. That night, after seeing the picture, I called him. My fingers trembled as I waited for him to pick up. He answered on the 3rd ring, his voice irritated. "What do you want, Claire?" "I'm busy." "Busy?" I whispered. "Daniel, do you even know where I am right now? Do you care that I've been in bed all day, burning with fever?" He sighed loudly. "Claire, don't start this again. You always make things about you. I needed a break, okay? It's Sophia's birthday. She's important to me." Important? The word echoed in my head, stabbing me over and over like a knife. I felt like screaming, like asking him how he could do this to me after everything I had sacrificed for him. But no sound came out. I hung up and stared blankly at the wall. The fever worsened that night. I don't remember when I passed out, but when I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital bed. The doctor told me I had collapsed from exhaustion and high fever. They said if I had arrived a little later, it could have been fatal, but where was Daniel? He never came. Not even a call. I stayed there alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I had become so insignificant in the life of the man I once called my soulmate. It wasn't until I overheard the nurses talking that I realized the truth was even uglier than I imagined. Poor woman. Her husband must not care at all. He's been seen around town with another woman. And she's pregnant, too, they say. Pregnant, that one word burned every piece of me that was left. I had spent years trying for a baby with Daniel, going through painful treatments and endless tears, only for him to give someone else the gift I had longed for. I thought I would die from the heartbreak, but I didn't. Something inside me snapped that day. As I lay there in that sterile hospital room, I realized I had 2 choices. I could let this pain destroy me completely, or I could rise from it. I chose the second. When I was discharged, I didn't go home right away. I went to my mother's house instead. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to cry in her arms. She didn't ask questions or judge me. She just held me and said, "Claire, you are stronger than you know. Don't let him take any more of your life from you." Her words lit a fire in me. That night, I stared at my reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was pale, weak, and broken. But deep in her eyes, there was a flicker of something fierce. I promised myself I wouldn't cry over Daniel anymore. If he wanted Sophia, he could have her. But he wasn't going to get away with what he did to me. I started gathering evidence, the late-night calls, the hotel receipts, the company funds he had been secretly transferring to Sophia's account. I pieced it all together, slowly but carefully. And as I did, I began rebuilding myself too. I started working out, eating healthy, updating my skills, and even reconnecting with old friends. For months, I stayed silent, pretending to be the same naive wife he thought I was. All the while, I was preparing for the day I would expose everything, the day I would make Daniel realize the price of betraying me, and now, that day is here. As I sit in the boardroom of his company, surrounded by executives and shareholders, I watch the door open. Daniel walks in, confident as ever, his arm around Sophia, her baby bump showing slightly through her tight dress. He doesn't notice me at first, but when he does, his smile falters. "Claire?" he says, his voice uncertain. "What are you doing here?" I rise to my feet slowly, sliding the thick folder across the table toward him. "Why don't you open it and find out?" I say calmly, though inside my heart is pounding. Daniel picks up the folder and begins flipping through the documents. His face drains of color. Sophia leans over his shoulder, her eyes widening in horror. You can't do this," he stammers. "You have no idea what you're starting." I tilt my head, a small smile playing on my lips. "Oh, Daniel," I whisper. "This is only the beginning." And just like that, the room falls silent. The truth is out, but this is only the first step in my plan to take back everything he stole from me, and leave him with nothing. Daniel's hands trembled as he turned page after page, his confident smirk nowhere to be seen now. The boardroom, once filled with polite murmurs, had fallen completely silent. All eyes were on him, and on me. For the first time in years, I felt the power shift. He wasn't in control anymore, I was. You set me up," he muttered under his breath, his voice shaky. "Set you up?" I repeated softly, leaning forward. "No, Daniel. You did this to yourself. All I did was show everyone who you really are." The executives exchanged uneasy glances, whispering among themselves. One of them cleared his throat and spoke. "Daniel, these documents show clear misuse of company funds, funneling money into a private account under Sophia's name. Can you explain this?" Daniel looked up, his face pale. Sophia's grip on his arm tightened, her nails digging into his suit jacket. It's not what it looks like," he stammered. "Claire is lying. She's doing this out of revenge because I left her." I laughed, and the sound was sharper than I intended. "You didn't leave me, Daniel. You abandoned me. You left me sick, alone, and nearly dead in that house while you celebrated Sophia's birthday. Should I remind everyone that I was hospitalized the same night you were out with her?" Whispers spread across the room like wildfire. Daniel's confident mask was cracking, but I wasn't done yet. "Do you know what it feels like?" I continued, my voice shaking now with emotion I could no longer hide, "to spend years giving everything you have to someone? To stand by them when they're nothing, only for them to discard you like trash the moment they get what they want? I worked 2 jobs so you could chase your dreams. I sacrificed my health, my savings, my happiness, and this is how you repaid me." Daniel slammed the folder shut. "Enough," he barked. "This is between you and me, Claire. Don't drag my company into this." "It's not your company anymore," one of the senior board members said coldly. "You're suspended until we investigate these allegations. Effective immediately." Daniel turned to Sophia, but she took a step back, her face pale. It was clear she wasn't prepared for this fallout. This was only part of my plan. Weeks earlier, I had discovered more than just his affair. I found out about his shady business deals, the debts he had covered up, and the investors he had lied to. While he was busy with Sophia, I met with his rivals in secret, sharing just enough information to turn them against him. Every move I made was deliberate, every step calculated to lead him here, to his downfall. But as I left the boardroom that day, my hands were still trembling. Daniel wasn't the kind of man to go down quietly. That night, my phone rang. I didn't want to answer, but something told me I had to. "Claire?" Daniel's voice was low, almost unrecognizable. "You think you've won, don't you?" I didn't respond. "You don't know what you've started," he continued. "I built that company. Those people in there, they owe me everything. Do you really think they'll side with you in the end? You're nothing without me. Maybe I was nothing before, I said calmly, but not anymore. You should be more worried about yourself, Daniel. I'm not the same woman you used to control. There was silence on the line. Then he laughed softly, and the sound sent chills down my spine. You want a war, Claire? Fine. Let's see who survives it. When the call ended, I sat there in the dark, gripping my phone tightly. A part of me still felt that familiar fear, but it was quickly drowned out by determination. I had come too far to back down now. In the following days, the tension escalated. Daniel's lawyers sent me threats, accusing me of defamation and blackmail. His loyal employees spread rumors about me online, painting me as a bitter ex-wife trying to destroy a good man's reputation. Even Sophia posted cryptic messages on social media, hinting that I was obsessed and unstable. But what they didn't know was that I had more evidence, much more. One evening, as I sifted through old files, I found something explosive. A recording of Daniel admitting to bribing a government official to secure a major contract. The deal had made him millions, but if exposed, it could send him to prison. This was the card I had been saving for the right moment, but before I could decide how to use it, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, I froze. It was Sophia. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. She was clutching her stomach like she was in pain. Please, Claire, she whispered. I need your help. Daniel, he's not who you think he is. He's dangerous. He's after me too. For a moment, I couldn't move. This was the woman who had destroyed my marriage, taken my husband, and flaunted it for the world to see. And now she was standing here, trembling, begging for my help. Why should I believe anything you say? I asked coldly. Because, she said, her voice breaking, if you don't stop him now, we're both going to lose everything. And with that, she collapsed in my arms. I struggled to hold her up. 100 questions swirled in my mind. What was Daniel planning? Was Sophia telling the truth, or was this another trap? One thing was clear, the war had only just begun, and this time, I wasn't sure who the real enemy was. I held Sophia tightly as she slumped against me, her body weak and trembling. My heart was pounding, not out of sympathy but because I couldn't tell if this was real or another one of Daniel's manipulations. I lowered her onto the couch and grabbed a glass of water. Start talking, I said firmly. What's going on? Tears streamed down her face as she clutched her stomach. Daniel, he's not the man you think he is. He told me he loved me, that we'd start a new life together, but when he found out I was pregnant, he changed. He said I was a liability, and now he wants to get rid of me. Her words sent a chill through me. For so long I had thought of her as the villain. The woman who stole my husband and ruined my life. But seeing her like this, broken, terrified, I realized she wasn't as powerful as I thought. She was just another victim of Daniel's selfishness. Why should I believe you? I asked, my voice cold but wavering. You knew he was married. You knew he was destroying me. I thought he was different with me, she cried. I thought he loved me. But he's been using us both. He's been hiding money overseas and planning to disappear. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. Her words echoed in my mind. Daniel, disappearing with everything? That would explain the secret accounts I had uncovered. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. If you don't stop digging, you'll regret it. Leave town now before it's too late. I stared at the screen, my pulse quickening. I had gone too far to back out now. The next day, Sophia and I worked together. It wasn't easy. The woman I once hated was now my unexpected ally, and trust didn't come naturally. But we both wanted the same thing, to bring Daniel down before he destroyed us completely. We traced his accounts, found hidden properties, and uncovered emails that proved he was planning to flee the country with millions siphoned from his company. The more we found, the more dangerous it felt. Finally, we had enough evidence to go to the authorities. But I wanted Daniel to know, to see the moment his carefully built empire crumbled. I arranged a meeting with him at his office. When I walked in, Daniel was waiting, his expression unreadable. He looked calm, but his eyes were sharp like a predator. Waiting to strike Claire, he said smoothly. I warned you to stop. Why couldn't you just let go? I didn't flinch. Because you didn't just betray me, Daniel. You tried to destroy me. You abandoned me when I needed you most. And now you're trying to do the same to her. Sophia stepped out from behind me. Daniel's eyes widened slightly, the first crack in his calm exterior. You, he said, almost laughing. You two teamed up? That's rich. We did more than that, I said. We exposed you. I slid a flash drive across his desk. All your accounts, your bribes, your offshore transfers, it's all here. The authorities already have copies. You're finished, Daniel. For a moment there was silence. Then Daniel's smile faded completely. You think they'll believe you over me, he snarled. I built this company. I have friends in high places. Not anymore, I said softly. Those friends? They're the ones who handed me the final pieces of evidence. You made too many enemies, Daniel. They're happy to watch you fall. The sound of sirens outside made him whip his head toward the window. Police cars pulled up, lights flashing. No, he whispered, his face pale. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I did, I said. Officers stormed in moments later, reading Daniel his rights as they placed him in handcuffs. He thrashed and shouted, but there was no way out. Now they dragged him past me. He stopped for a moment, his eyes blazing with rage and fear. You'll regret this, Claire, he hissed. You think you've won, but you'll regret it. I met his gaze calmly. No, Daniel. The only thing I regret is giving you so many chances to hurt me. When the door slammed shut behind him, I felt the weight I had carried for years finally lift. Sophia stood beside me, her face streaked with tears. It's over, she whispered. Yes, I said, almost to myself. It's over. But in my heart, I knew it wasn't just about revenge. It was about freedom. In the weeks that followed, I started rebuilding my life. The world saw me as the ex-wife who exposed a powerful man, but to me, I was simply Claire, a woman who had finally chosen herself over someone who didn't deserve her love. Sophia gave birth to a healthy baby boy months later. We weren't friends, not really, but we shared a quiet understanding of what we had survived. One evening, as I sat by the window watching the sunset, I thought about everything I had lost and gained. I had loved deeply, suffered greatly, but in the end, I found my strength, and for the first time in years, I smiled, not because of anyone else, but because I had finally come home to myself.